Huge breaking news and other news of the day. So Boris Johnson finally resigns. Finally. And so just another nail in the coffin of what was the globalist comeback via COVID. It's so obvious now. No one can deny this. I mean, people will, but just as crazy. All right. So let's go back pre-COVID, pre-2020, and let's take a look back in history. We had a stunning election of the Scott Morrison of the Liberals, which was a conservative, which is the Republicans in Australia. No one expected the Conservatives to win that. No one did, and he did. We had Brexit, obviously, in 2016, Trump in 2016, and then we had a huge election for the Tories in 2019. I mean, just they dominated every aspect of UK it's crazy. On top of that, in 2018, while Trump lost the House, he actually expanded his majority in the Senate. The first time the sitting president had incumbents from the opposite party lose like the Democrats did since FDR. The Democrats lost 4 incumbents. Hadn't happened since FDR. So when there's no gerrymandering, Trump expanded his majority in the Senate. So the world was looking. World was looking pretty right for a right-wing takeover. And then, almost by design, kind of crazy, COVID happened. So what are we left with? After the dust settles, we're left with Macron still in office. We're left with Trudeau still in office. Now we're left with going to be a left-wing UK, a left-wing Australia. Still got stupid lady Jacinda in New Zealand. All right. We have a left-wing AMLO in Mexico, and frankly, he's actually doing probably better than I was expecting as a socialist. We have a left-wing Biden. We have a Senate and a House controlled by left-wingers. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, we have in Colombia, we have left-wing, a Marxist, who follows that of Maduro in Venezuela. Maduro's still there. Putin's still there. I mean, he's not right-wing. You know what I'm saying? We have South America, Peru, we got left-wing, Marxist in Peru. We got South America going left. We got the whole world going left, essentially. All because the right-wing cocked. There's just no other way around that. They cocked. And Trump, too. And Trump's gone. I mean, he cocked. I don't care. Look, I like Trump. I'm glad that he got the Supreme Court. And I'd vote for him in 2024, but I still can't get over what these guys allowed to happen in 2020. If you ever need any more proof, the globalists said, yeah, we're going to rein this in. They weren't expecting Brexit. They weren't expecting Trump. They just weren't. And they probably didn't pay too much in Australia. And Australia's not that big of a deal. But at the end of the day, they probably weren't expecting what happened. So they're saying, ooh, Trump combined with UK, combined with Australia, we got to ramp this stuff up. So let's make hay while we still can. And they did. Notice, but it's weird how everything shifted left. And yet the left-wing candidates are still in office. And they're still raging against a machine. It's funny. Rage against a machine. Well, you are the machine, clown. So here's following a wave of resignations, this clown quits. And what happens anytime you capitulate to the left with your green energy crap and then the big government COVID crap, you're going to lose if you're on the right. Because right-wingers don't want that, man. We don't. I mean, yes, there are some Mitt Romneys of the world, Lindsey Graham's, John McCain's, who get rich off this stuff, off war. Ukraine, they get rich off it. They get rich off the schemes of green energy. Tons of Republicans get rich off this crap. At the end of the day, the average Joe right-winger, and American particularly, they don't want any of this crap, man. They don't. So, of course, they're not going to support you. They're going to say, forget you, man. Especially while in this Boris Johnson's case, he's literally partying like it's 1999. Oh, yeah, by the way, 1999. Who's going to party like it's 1999? We or I? Interesting. All right, so let's read what's happening here because this is a cluster foxtrot. And here's Australia, their new left-wing prime minister. Our green energy. Australians to be hit with shock electricity prices. Our new prime minister, grand green energy transformation plan has failed. Ordinary Australians are going to face the pain of a politically motivated lack of investment in dispatchable energy infrastructure. Major energy retailers are expected to increase prices as early as Friday. Now, if you think this just happens in Australia, I got a freaking bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, man. Millions of customers across large parts of Australia's eastern states are about to be hit with huge hikes to power bills. The hikes mean Queensland could see an increase of 12.6%. New South Wales, 18.3% hike. 9.5% in South Australia. For August 1st, one of the country's biggest retailers will slug New South Wales customers with close to 18% increase. Leaves many households paying annual increases of hundreds of dollars. The prices of smaller energy companies are also expected to soar. There's 100% for one. Another one, 285%. Another one, 147%. These smaller companies are hiking their prices in a bid to lose customers. Okay, we've seen a lot of small providers actually beg their customers to go to someone else because they can't afford it. The price rises are only happening because of the current political environment. Nobody is investing in new dispatchable energy capacity. Gas drilling has all been banned in the eastern parts of Australia, where the power shortages are occurring. For example, in Victoria, the government added a permanent ban of fracking in their constitution. It could have been different, but here's our new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese's green energy plans will do nothing to alleviate. And here's they talk about Obama. Under my plan, electricity prices will naturally have to increase. That's what he said. And people say, oh, no, it's no big deal. All right, so let's keep reading. Oh, it's only Australia, right? All right. Let's keep reading. I want to show you something here because we're going to go to, check this out, Chinese dominance. Many in the West are fearful of losing a global technology race to Chinese dominance, especially with regards to the transition to cleaner energy. The IEA, the International Energy Agency, was the latest to warn about the consequences in a key report for the plans to reach net zero by 2050. In fact, China's share of all manufacturing stages of solar panels currently exceeds 80%. And for key elements, it is set to rise to more than 95%. So we're going to get rid of the stuff we can do in-house and rely all on China. The world will almost completely rely on China for the supply of the key building blocks for solar panel production through 2025. This level of concentration would represent a considerable vulnerability. So we're banning, it's just like the takedown of the West. It's insanity, man. We're banning the energy that we can produce self-reliance, and we're relying solely on the solar of China, which is going to have 90%, 95% market share. It's absolutely stunning. Now, it's not the only area of concern. China's BYD just dethroned Tesla as the world's biggest EV vehicle maker, and then surpassed South Korea's LG as the second largest producer of EV batteries. Now, I want to just point out what BYD is. The way they surpass Tesla is they include hybrid vehicles in their EVs, and Tesla, I don't think, has any hybrids. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. I mean, because they're using hybrids plus pure EVs, or Tesla, I just think, has EVs. So that's not really fair. But be it as it may, BYD is taking over. The development comes as policies of the West rolls out. So the development comes as much of the West rolls out policies to convert their internal combustion engines to EVs in the near future. But those initiatives will depend on the raw materials processing that are highly concentrated in Asia, where China's market share for battery components rose from 43% in 2014 to 60% now. Due to tighter control of lithium, nickel, cobalt, and palladium. Yeah, good times. Oh, but hey, no worries. The worries aren't limited to the energy sector. The war in Ukraine has seen prices in Europe soar to record highs this week as the effects of Russian gas power cuts ripple through the continent. German power, the European benchmark, rose to a record, while French prices near all-time high, triggering fears for manufacturing and heavy industry. The U.S. is also discussing price caps on Russia oil and gas with its allies, but the concept would need to gather widespread adoption to be effective. while Putin could cut supplies even further if Moscow is being threatened. So basically, Putin's in on it, man. I'm just telling you right now. He has Europe by over a barrel, and then we're going to go to solar and wind. No more nuclear, no more gas, no more oil, no more coal. And who's going to have us over a barrel? China. It's such a scam. It's such a scam. Of course, we got the typical fear mongering. Now, this may or may not come to fruition, but this is LouRockwell.com. Eggs will be $12 a dozen. Meat shortages coming this August. I don't know if this is going to be true. We'll see. But I mean, $12 a dozen. We shall see. This is just some lady who's a homesteader in Tennessee, and I just challenge this. There's a video from here, a warning from a farmer. I was reading some of the stuff. I said, we've heard this. If you just go back in history, we've heard this all the time. And it might come to fruition at some point, but I get kind of sick of hearing this, the whole the fear-mongering thing. Because what happens, it says eggs will be $12 a dozen, and then people say, I don't believe them, so let's just keep on the straight and narrow what we're doing now. But eggs don't have to be $12 a dozen to be painful, especially when your utility bills go way through the roof, because that will reflect everything else in the prices that you pay. And it's like, you don't need to go overboard in the war-mongering fear porn to recognize a threat that is a reliance on solar and wind, and it's not dispatchable. It's just not, man. It's not going to get the freaking job done. And then you see the threat of that, and then you're like, this is going to increase prices. This is going to make for scarcity, which is what causes inflation. Not freaking too much money, it's too much scarcity. Going back to Germany, dumb as it gets, Germany heads into winter refusing to let badly needed power plants operate. And the German federal government does not want to touch the nuclear power plant phase-out law. So we're just going to read this. 14% of electricity comes from the gas-fired plants. We'll only be able to replace 2/3 of the gas-fired plants by ramping up reserved coal-fired power plants. In the end, eliminating 3 nuclear power plants means giving up a large part of this savings because the electricity that is eliminated cannot be replaced in any other way than by the gas-powered plants. This is Germany, so hang tight if you live in the United States. This can affect you. Even the accelerated expansion of wind and solar, which, by the way, only produces electricity, will not help. In order to replace the amount of electricity of the 3 running nuclear power plants arithmetically, one needs 2/3 of the 2.2 million existing solar plants. In other words, to replace this amount of electricity, we need 5 to 10 years to replace the resulting gap of 35 terawatt hours with new photovoltaic plants, and then we'd have no electricity at night. Power company CEO vividly described the extent of the gas crisis. Imagine a train transporting gas that starts in Seville and ends in Frankfurt, 1 wagon at a time the whole way. And he poses the question, how long the German chemical industry would be able to get by on the gas quantity of 1 wagon at a time. It's about 5.6 million jobs affected by the lack of natural gas, and it's not about taking shorter showers. All right, so let's. This is just insanity. So before you start, but no big deal, trading economics. Let's just see how big the German economy is, shall we? So let's look here, and we're gonna go down here. Germany, oh my lands, the 4th largest economy in the entire. Well, I mean, it's part of the euro. So the German economy is the 4th largest economy in the world. In the world, man. That's not going to affect anybody. And so let's just take a look how much German exports. Oh, let's see. Oh, Germany is the 3rd largest food exporter in the world. Cereals, dairy, beef, and sugar beets. Agricultural exports amassed to a staggering $86 billion. U.S. is number 1. The USA exports the most produce. They are the largest corn producer and amongst the largest producer of soys. I knew they had to be soys. Oats, tomatoes, and spices. Each year, the U.S. agricultural exports around $150 billion, which is German is even more than half of what we export. But no big deal, no big deal. Surprisingly, Netherlands is a relatively small country. Wait, what's happening in the Netherlands? Their agriculture exports made up 3 parts: 61 billion of agriculture, 9 billion of agriculture material, and 24 billion of re-exports, which brings 94 billion is Netherlands. Isn't that weird? Is Netherlands going through anything right now? Oh, huge farmer protest in the Netherlands as supermarket food runs out. This is huge. Are continuing to escalate while supermarkets reportedly begin to run out of food. The farmer protests are an anti-government movement because the government is pushing them to use less fertilizer and reduce livestock. Do you think the farmers are going to win? No, they're not going to win. The globalists are going to win. All because the right wing allowed it to happen because of COVID. I'm telling you, man, they bought into the freaking climate change crap. They bought into COVID, and here we are. Precautions are always needed, but look, at the end of the day, my friends, I mean, you're not gonna have a bunker. I mean, you can have a bunker, but you're gonna be overrun. I mean, all these people say, I can have a bunker, a year of food. All right, that's fine. I mean, look, man, if your electricity goes out for more than 3 days, it's over, man. That's all there is to it. The world can't deal with a power outage of more than 3 days and no food for more than 3 days. It's going to be tyranny, either by your neighbors or by the government coming in. But there's nothing. I mean, so you should prepare for probably a month, but anything over that is just overkill because at the end of the day, you'll be stopped. No other way around that. The way you prepare is just get on your knees and pray to God. Say, look, man, we can't control this. Yeah. Do I think it's all? And this guy say, "Oh, you're always up and down. You're a SSRI," or what some guy on here says basically that. And I said, "Look, I see the reality as it is, not as I want it. I'm still optimistic, for heaven's sake, because I believe in God. I believe in Jesus and such. I know how the story ends, and we know who wins in the end. And it says right here in the good book. Now, this is the NIV version, which I have some doubts on, but be it as it may, I think Jesus and God or transcend this book right here, actually. Just because it's in words doesn't mean that's God. God is everywhere. But take precautions nonetheless. Not to have any food backup is stupid. Not to have any water supply is stupid. You need water, you need food, for sure. Are you going to need electricity? No. I mean, you don't need electricity. I mean, you don't need to run your Netflix, that's for sure. But you certainly need water and food. And you need heat, so get some firewood, or at least have an axe or a place to get some heat if you can. All right. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.